but you guys were certainly close in a number of games, especially in the second half of the season. What do you feel like was the biggest thing you learned a year ago, and do you feel like you're in a much better position going into year two?
Sure. First thing I want to do is echo kind of what Jim just said there a little bit. I don't think anybody's got more experience in different conferences than I do in my 6 years at Bryant being in four different conferences. So definitely the most challenging conference, best run conference, and top to bottom, the most diverse when it comes to the amount of the quality teams that we play week in and week out. And so, I think just like anytime you have a new situation, I think it takes time to get your bearing. I think the target for us kind of leveled on the horizon a little bit for us, especially in the second half of the season. We knew what we had to do. We understand the level of execution that we have to maintain now, the penalties that we have to eliminate, all the things if we're going to expect to be successful in the CAA that maybe we could have gotten away with in some of the other conferences, just simply are not going to be allowed in the CAA. And that became clear to us. And that's been our focus in the offseason. And we've pounded it, we've hounded it. And, we hopefully we come into the season with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder.
Anthony, for you, you're a veteran guy that's back on the offensive line. What do you feel like the toughest transition a year ago was to CA, and just kind of building on what Coach said, what has been the talk in the offseason and some of the goals for the guys on offense?
With my time here at Bryant, I've been in four different conferences, so it's been a little bit of the same thing every year, kind of being that, underdog kind of team, being overlooked just because we're the new guys in the conference. Coming into the CAA, we knew it was going to be a big challenge. It is one of the best conferences in the FCS league. And yeah, I feel like, the first half of the season was a little bit rocky, but, we had a great team and great teamwork that, we worked hard. We fought through good fights. And I know the record doesn't show it, but I think as a team, we really came together in that second half and, put all the talent out on the field. And I'm excited to get into this season in this camp because, we have a lot to show. So.
Max, sort of similar question for you on the defensive side. What was the biggest transition, and how much better prepared do you feel like going into this season you guys are?
Well, first, going into this next season, I'm very excited. We've been building and working our foundation, and it's the most important thing to us. We focus on the day-to-day, and the main thing that we always preach here at Bryant is if you want to be a great man in the future, all you have to do is be a great man today. So the only thing that really matters is what you do today and if you get better. And speaking on last season, I think we had a lot of growing pains, but I think we learned a lot. And first you learn and then you execute, like in all things in football and in life. So I'm very excited for this upcoming season.
Got some questions lined up for you guys. We'll start with Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, fellas, for doing this, and thanks for dressing up. You all look spiffy, including you, Coach. And my question is for you here to start. Chris, you mentioned all the conferences that you've played here in the last few years. Just how much does it help going into a season where you are playing in the same league for a second consecutive year, and maybe just knowing the intricacies of like road trips or, team personnel or those sorts of things? Just how much does that help preparing for a new year?
But the reality is in years 1, 3, and 5 in my career here at Bryant, we've been the new guy in the conference, and I would call us a jag. We were just another guy. We didn't know what we didn't know. However, in each one of those seasons, you could tell halfway through the season that the ship was starting to turn towards the north. We knew what we had to do to be successful. And years 2 and 4, we competed for the championship in both of those cases. I'm not saying that's Am I hoping and expecting that we have that attitude this year? Well, of course. But I can tell you that there's a benefit for us of knowing a New Hampshire for the second time, knowing a Maine, knowing an Albany, all the teams that we're going to face on the year in, year out basis, and just the familiarity when it comes to it. So the path for us for success is clear. We know what we have to do. It just comes time to becoming part of our DNA and going out and executing it.
And for Anthony and Max, you both mentioned just the second half of last year and sort of finding your footing and competing the way that you did. how much do you feel like you can build off of that second half and just how well you played against teams like Maine and URI last year?
Yeah, I think we had a great spring ball. I think we brought in a couple of new guys that, are really doing great things here. Just taking that momentum into spring ball, we had a great finish to spring ball. So I think, that momentum also going into summer workouts, us competing on the field, with workouts, lifting. I think that and the camaraderie with the team and the culture, growing, I think just that alone will do really good things for us out on that field, especially, when we're getting to August camp, just competing with each other. At the end of the day, it's a brotherhood. And it's like you just want to compete with those guys. So, yeah.
And then to add on to what Anthony and Coach said, last season we had a lot of young players and a lot of new players, and I feel like we've really gelled together. Like if you look at our team, very similar to last year when you look at the core and the returning players and the players who got a lot of snaps. So we have a lot of continuity going on into the season, and I'm excited for that.
Don't I think?
I'm on mute. Sorry, Tiffany, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I forgot I was on mute.
That's all right. Coach, talking a little bit about Bryant, what makes this team and this locker room so special right now coming into the 2025 season? And Max, if you can also echo off what he says.
I like what Max said. We had a large number of freshmen play considerable amounts of snaps for us last year, whether it was Brennan Meyer, Markel Cockrell, Jaden Hazelwood, A.Z. Juicy. We have a large number of true freshmen that are now sophomores. They also have learned a little bit in addition to the supporting cast that we've got coming back. And just again, last year we didn't know what we didn't know, but our coaches have done a great job in the offseason of just getting this group ready to come out the gates knowing where we have to swing in order to connect. And that's been big for us in the offseason. I really like the culture of this football team. I really like the camaraderie, the brotherhood these guys have built in the offseason. I think that's one thing that we definitely had to fix. And let me tell you, last year, and I hate going back to last year, but unless you look at it, you're not going to learn from it. But last year I was really concerned midway through the season that we were going to lose them. But my hats are off to the kids who came together, the coaching staff who knew that it didn't matter because it didn't matter who we played on Saturday or who we lost to, because the next week there was another ranked opponent that was ready to play, and they didn't care what happened to us the previous week. So it was a deal where we were better for having gone through it. Now we know what to expect. And again, it's my hope that this group walks out on Saturday this fall with a chip on their shoulder, ready to prove it that we deserve to be here.
Next question from Azar. Go ahead, Azar.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Hey, Coach. As Anthony said that maybe your record doesn't show how good you guys played, which I 1,000% agree. There was a lot of games you could have won last year. Contrary to the popular belief, I was watching those games. It was always like that second half. That second half was always something would go wrong, or you would lose the lead or the momentum. What do you think the reason was for that? And what do you think you did in the offseason to correct that won't happen this coming season?
Sure. Well, I'd be willing to bet if you ask the kids, they should be able to tell you by now. That, and it was our screen to finish. It was our screen to finish. That was something that we focused on throughout all of spring. It was the ability to finish a drill, the mentality, not shooting ourselves in the foot. We led the conference last year in a category nobody wants to lead the conference in, and that's false starts and offsides. And that's something that we have put a tremendous amount of focus on here in the offseason to eliminate. We have to stop beating ourselves. This conference is hard enough. We don't need to make it more difficult on ourselves, and that's internal. That's not something that schematically anything that Rhode Island or Maine or New Hampshire did to us. That was the mistakes that we made in those ball games at crucial times. And you're right. We had the opportunities, we had the chances, and the one good thing is that when we didn't capitalize that, they came back the next week and ready to take on the next opponent, and that's going to hold for us this fall.
Thank you.
Next question from Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for doing this. Chris, just seeing Michael here among these preseason selections reminds me that, he was injured at the start of last year. He tried to play some, but obviously wasn't 100% at any point. It reminds me that your team wasn't necessarily whole, as you went in the year and then throughout the year, obviously losing other guys to injuries. So just in general, going into camp, how healthy are you guys now? And, how would you evaluate the two deep in terms of what you have and what you could have?
Sure. We got a couple guys dinged up during spring ball, but they're on the mend right now. We've got a lot of guys that we had lost during the season that'll be back full go for us. And I'm getting ready here on Tuesday to say to the football team what they all have heard since they've been with me, and that's, hey, today's the best you're ever going to feel. On that first report date before that first practice, I always tell them, hey, how you feel right now is the best you're going to feel all year. You have to be able to play sore. You got to play injured. You got to fight through some things because it's not going to get any better from this day on out. Michael, definitely, we are a different defense when Michael's out there. We know that. And yes, we wish we had him for more games last year, but it's not a one-man team. It's an 11-man side of the ball, and we need more people to go out there and execute.
Thank you.
Chris, Anthony, Max, thanks